All right, welcome to this finals prep explainer. Look, if you're gearing up for your CSE 407 Green Computing exam, you are literally in the exact right place. Grab a coffee, settle in, because I'm going to be your expert study partner today. We are going to master those tricky scenario-based questions that you are absolutely guaranteed to see on your final. We're going to lock in the theory, calculate the math, and just get you completely ready to ace this thing. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our game plan for today. We're covering the green IT lifecycle, mastering green financial math, calculating energy and carbon, digging into governance and local scenarios, and then we're finishing up with a rapid-fire analytical quiz. Interleaving all this theory with quick math practice is scientifically the fastest way to prep your brain for an exam. So let's get moving. First up, the green IT lifecycle. We're looking at managing, sustaining, and governance. So, in your previous lectures, you already covered the mechanics of virtualization, right? We know consolidation, cut server count, and idling power. But, and this is crucial, technology alone is not going to keep an organization green. Without actual policies, you just end up with virtual sprawl, which completely cancels out all those efficiency gains you just made. You know why roughly 70% of digital transformations fail? Well, it is not the tech. Technology accounts for only about 20% of failure. The other 80%? That is entirely human and cultural failure. People just naturally resist new workflows. So to fix this and align human incentives, your exam is going to expect you to know how to apply Cotter's 8-step model. Stuff like building a guiding coalition, generating short-term wins, and really anchoring those changes deep in the corporate culture. Which brings us directly to the standard 4-phase enterprise framework. Phase 1 is assess and plan, basically getting your baseline. Phase 2, architect and implement, where you deploy the infrastructure updates. Phase 3 is measure and optimize to track your KPIs. And finally, Phase 4 is institutionalize. The absolute key takeaway here is that without this final fourth phase to actually embed policies into the culture, organizations suffer from a huge set and forget risk. Efficiency gains just slowly erode over time as staff turn over and those old legacy habits creep back in. Moving on to mastering green financial math. It's time for ROI and TCO. All right, time to put on our CFO hats. Here is your first mental flashcard for the exam, the simple payback period formula. It's super straightforward. It's just your upfront capital expenditure, or CapEx, divided by your annual operational savings in dollars. You've got to memorize this because CFOs, as much as we love them, don't approve environmental goodwill, they approve financial returns. Literally every green IT initiative has to present a rock-solid business case. Let's put this into practice with a very realistic exam scenario. Imagine an enterprise is investing in some dynamic power management software. The CapEx is $60,000. The expected annual energy saved is 200,000 kilowatt hours, and the local electricity tariff is 15 cents per kilowatt hour. So based on those variables, what is the simple payback period here? Take a quick second. How would you actually structure this calculation? What is your very first step? Let's move to and see how this builds step by step. Step 1, you absolutely have to convert that energy saved into actual dollars first. So you multiply the 200,000 kilowatt hours by that 15-cent tariff. That gives you $30,000 in annual savings. Step 2, you take that initial $60,000 CapEx and just divide it by your $30,000 annual savings, which gives you exactly 2.0 years. And for context, anything under 2 years is considered an absolutely phenomenal payback period for software-driven projects. If you see a scenario like this on the test, just follow those 2 steps precisely and you'll nail it. Next up, calculating energy and carbon, focusing heavily on Scope 2 emissions. Okay, so calculating carbon emissions is now a strict requirement for mandatory corporate ESG compliance. Here's your second major flashcard, the carbon offset formula. To find the metric tons of CO2 equivalent that you're offsetting, you multiply the kilowatt hours saved by the local grid carbon intensity factor and then divide the whole thing by 1,000. This direct conversion is exactly how massive global companies report their Scope 2 emissions, which, just as a quick reminder, are the indirect emissions from purchased electricity. Let's look at our next practice problem. We're going to ground this one in real data from the Bangladesh electrical grid. Let's say an initiative saves 150,000 kilowatt hours of energy. The Bangladesh grid factor is 0.6 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per kilowatt hour. So, how many metric tons of CO2e are offset in this scenario? Now, if you're scribbling this down, pay very close attention to the unit conversion here. it is a classic exam trick question. The grid factor is in kilograms, right? But ESG reports and your professor will always ask for the answer in metric tons. So here's the breakdown. Step 1, multiply the 150,000 kilowatt hours by that 0.6 grid factor. That gets you 90,000 kilograms of CO2. Step 2, divide that 90,000 by 1,000 to smoothly convert it right into metric tons, which gives you exactly 90 metric tons. And this brilliantly illustrates how operational energy efficiency directly and measurably translates to real-world carbon reduction on a global standard. All right, let's shift to governance and local scenarios, setting the guardrails. Think of these frameworks as the strict guardrails that prevent corporate greenwashing. They ensure the whole transformation stays legally compliant and auditable. You really need to recognize these 4 acronyms on site for your finals. ISO 14001, that's your framework for environmental management systems. The GHG Protocol is how you account for Scope 1, direct, Scope 2, indirect, and Scope 3 supply chain emissions. EPIAT Gold is the benchmark your procurement team uses for buying sustainable hardware. And WEEE governs certified e-waste recycling. Also, for localized scenarios, keep in mind that Bangladesh Bank enforces strict green banking guidelines that require commercial banks to report their footprints annually using these exact standards. And finally, our finals prep analytical quiz. All right, time to put it all together. We are launching into a rapid-fire practice quiz to really lock in everything we just covered. Question 1. What is the primary objective of Cotter's Generate Short-Term Wins step when applied specifically to green IT? Think back to a few minutes ago when we talked about the human element of change management. The correct answer here is all about proving the concept early. Short-term wins demonstrate rapid financial and energy savings, they maintain project momentum, and they secure ongoing executive buy-in. Things like rolling out a fast PC sleep policy or consolidating a few servers. That builds immediate trust, validates the business case to the CFO, and it completely silences the skeptics early on. Question 2. In Bangladesh, why does automated PC power management yield such incredibly high financial returns for enterprises, especially for commercial banks in Dhaka? Think about the local business environment here. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the final point. First, yes, commercial electricity tariffs are high and rising, which means off-hours idling by massive PC fleets is super expensive. But the real kicker? Implementing automated network sleep policies requires $0 in CapEx outlay. Sometimes the absolutely most profitable green initiatives require literally no upfront investment, which means you get an infinite ROI. As we wrap up this finals prep explainer, I really want to leave you with this one thought. Are you preparing to just implement a technology, or are you actually ready to transform a culture? When you sit down for that exam, remember the 4-phase life cycle, remember the human element, and remember exactly how to prove your business case with hard math. Keep practicing those formulas, and I know you are going to absolutely crush your CSE 407 final. Good luck out there.